Right now, we talk with State Representative Jim Haadsma in our studio. Good morning.
Good morning, Tim. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. I love this summer weather. It's really nice.
We finally have it, and this is a very temperate weekend coming up, and exciting time for all of us to get outside and
Yeah,
enjoy ourselves.
it was a great time. I guess I talked to some people that were out at the ballpark last night. Perfect night for baseball. And I was down at Clara's on the River. Perfect night to have a little dinner and drink and enjoy the music outside. They'll be doing that again tonight. It's always a nice time and lots of stuff going on. Vibe at 5. They're going to have a band down at the Friendship Park next to the river tonight, too.
Summertime and the living is easy.
Yeah.
I just wish the Balloon Festival, Field of Flight, would have had just as blessed a weekend as we have upcoming last weekend.
Yeah. It was a little, it always is, it's, although I saw some balloons in the air a few times, and so it's always a breathtaking sight. I wanted to mention somebody that I think you probably crossed paths with several times in your career. 10th District Court Judge Sam Durham is retiring after 30 years on the bench. His last day at the courthouse is today. And the court will celebrate his years of service with an event at the Justice Center from 2 to 4. He worked, of course, as an assistant prosecuting attorney for 11 years and then 30 years on the bench as a district court judge.
Judge Durham is a well-respected jurist in our community. I've known him for a long time, since I first practiced in Battle Creek in 1988, and knew him soon after he became on the bench. He's a great guy, has a high emotional intelligence quotient, and I'm wishing him the best. Yep. It always is very interesting. One of the things that you don't know you get into when you're a state representative is when a judge like Judge Durham retires, well, then the governor makes an appointment of a successor, and everyone who is a lawyer with a bar pass in Calhoun County thinks that I may have some influence with the governor in relation to who might be appointed. And I got a lot of calls, a lot of communications in relation to, would you support me? So I met a lot of people, but I said, I'm not going to support any individual one. You're all well qualified for this slot. And when the governor met me a few weeks ago, she asked me how I was enjoying my time. And one of the things I said I didn't like were all the phone calls I got from would-be judges who wish to be appointed. They're going to have very big shoes to fill with succeeding Sam Durham, but I wish whoever is selected by Governor Whitmer the best of success.
So do you think if she was gonna ask you for your thoughts, you staved that off at the pass there?
I think I did, yes. She laughed when I said, this is one part I don't like about the job, are all these would-be judges calling me.
Wow, yes. You had a little town hall gathering to talk yesterday about trades and, skilled jobs and the like. Tell us what that was about and what your goals are for Michigan in that department.
We had a program out at Second Missionary Baptist on the north side of Battle Creek. We had a 5-person panel, including people from BCU and United Way, speak about the need for skilled trades, professions, build up in our community. We have a lot of people your age, my age, who are retiring out as electricians and carpenters, and we don't have a lot of people in the pipeline. It's sort of like, I don't know, the Tigers presently. They don't have a lot of people in AAA. I know they have some AA pitchers coming along, but we need more skilled trades professionals coming forward. There was discussion about different apprenticeships that some of the unions and Upjohn Institute and other consortiums offer. And we're trying to ensure that people understand that it's not a one line for all to go to college for 4 years and then become a teacher or an accountant or whatever college might direct one to do. There's a great need for people to do work like ironworkers activity and carpenters activity.
Sure. Yeah. And these are very meaningful jobs, very important jobs, and quite often jobs you can leave at the workplace when you go home at the end of the day. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Well, they're very exertional, as we heard from John Banks, an electrical contractor, but they're also jobs which give a lot of meaning to the lives of those who do it, and they pay well. There's a great demand, and if we can get more skilled tradespeople in our community, well, then we have a workforce that's more attractive to would-be employers who are coming here. Chabaka Gibson spoke last evening about the need to have that well-trained workforce so we can, in fact, recruit good-paying employers to our community.
Talking about the roads, fixing those blankety blank roads, the governor proposed a 171% increase with a idea of a 45-cent gas tax increase. I haven't heard too much about that actually happening, but the Republicans are touting a plan. The Democratic caucus has, I guess, got a plan. What would you do? How would you fix it if somebody said, "Look, let's just let Haadsma fix it"?
Well, that would be an interesting way to proceed, because I think we would have got it done a lot more quickly than we're getting this done.
Yeah, the governor said, well, I think it's like the fourth inning here. We still got a long way to go.
It seems that way. She introduced her budget back on March 5 of this year, and in early June 2019, the Republican leadership came back with some proposals, including selling off the Blue Water Bridge and some welcome centers, evaluating the ability to even do that. I think that the governor and Republican leadership will come to a resolution sometime within the next 30 days. As you know, September 30 is a deadline.
Right, yeah.
And as you too probably know, Governor Whitmer has said these legislators shouldn't be on what she calls a vacation. It's not a vacation for me. It's just I'm compelled to not show up at the House because there's no session presently. Yeah. That's called by leadership in the State House. But we're away from Lansing presently. We're not in session presently. And I'm confident that Lee Chatfield, he's the Speaker of the House, and Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirkey and Governor Whitmer and her team are working together beautifully to get this done. I don't think it's going to be 45 cents per gallon of gas increase in terms of a gas tax. I think it will be some combination of revenue that will be put together. As you indicated, the Democratic House caucus back in the third week of June put forward a proposal by which there would be a per mileage tax in terms of revenue enhancement on very large commercial trucks, which allegedly cause much of the breakup of our roads. So there are a number of proposals on the table, and I'm hopeful that the leadership are getting together regularly and hammering out a solution, so we're not trying to get this done over Labor Day weekend.
I read a report that said the Democratic caucus idea largely would increase taxes on small business and corporations.
I haven't read that report. I know that what Chris Gregg, the Democratic caucus leader, described to me was increase on commercial vehicle taxes, and this was a response to some pushback about the governor's 45 cents per gallon gas tax and lack of enthusiasm for that. I will say that surrounding states, including Illinois, have had recent per gallon gas increases. I think on July 1, 2019, Illinois' gas tax increased by between 15 and 25 cents. I was reading the Chicago Tribune just before the 4th of July and read that, and I know that there's been some discussion about we're falling behind in relation to our budget negotiations. We're in neutral, as it were, while other states are apprehending that it's important to get new revenue, because you don't get something for nothing. You got to have some revenue somewhere. Let's get together, the governor's team, the Senate Majority Leader's team, the House Speaker's team, and let's get something done and get these roads repaired.
I know that some members of the House are making the rounds with town hall meetings to talk about ideas such as the Republican plan, which one of the ideas is, look, all of the gas tax should go to our roads, and that includes the 6% sales tax. Now, legally, they can't do that, but what they can do is get rid of the sales tax on fuel tax and then jack up the current price another 6 cents a gallon, so it's a wash. And that plan seems to be gaining a little bit of traction. And of course, they do have a majority. I mean, what do you think about this idea?
They do have a majority, and the interesting thing about Lansing right now, there has to be consensus between the governor's office and legislative leaders, because the House and Senate can pass measures, but if the governor is going to veto those measures, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody has to be working together in terms of the executive and the legislative leadership, or nothing gets done. So in mid-June, there were a number of apportionments votes taken, and almost all of those apportionment votes were decided excuse me, by party line vote. And it's my appreciation that after those apportionment votes, those bills will go to the Senate, and the Senate will turn those down, and then there will be a reconciliation committee. The point of telling you this is, you can pass bills, but if you can't get them signed by the governor, it really is nothing but show. So it's really important that they work together. I think that an idea like that is well worth considering by the governor's team as well. Let's make sure that without question, this revenue is lockboxed for roads and not used for other purposes, as it's been in the past.
Yeah, and and there's a concern too that a lot of this 6% sales tax is going to fund schools. So how are you going to ensure that we still have the amount going to the schools that we feel we need? So State Representative Jim Haadsma is our guest this morning. So you think maybe the governor would go for this idea of replacing the 6% and taking the 6% sales tax off of gas, and then adding that to the price per gallon, and then funding the schools another way, if there were some other components thrown in the deal?
I think everything's on the table. The governor just needs some honest brokers to work with her. Without question, we need significant revenue for roads. We still need significant revenue for K-12 and higher education. We need those revenue sources in relation to K-12 and higher education segregated from each other, unlike what's been done in the past. I think the governor doesn't want to play shell games any longer and wants to ensure that we, like adults, go forward, and just don't think we can fix our roads by simply cutting. There have to be some revenue enhancements.
And I'm feeling that I'm feeling that the Republican plan would keep the K through 12 funding relatively stable, but perhaps there might be some cuts in higher education. But you know, you speaking before about the need to address trades and skilled work. I mean, doesn't that kind of fit with a cut in higher education, when we really need to get more students getting into skilled jobs?
Well, as someone pointed out last evening, one of the speakers last evening pointed out, we need a blend. He said we don't need too many people in college, university, track. We don't need everyone in response going to apprenticeship programs to become electricians. So we need a blend, and I do think that higher education has been eviscerated for too long in Michigan, and it's caused many of our workers to be undereducated, and those who have become educated, too many burdened by very significant student loan debt, which keeps them from robustly participating in our economy. So I don't think a diminution of revenue to higher education in our public universities is a good idea because it limits who can go to those schools, either the very, very poor or the uh, upper income students. Middle income students often end up with significant student loan debt.
People want to talk to their state representative, Jim Haadsma, they have a chance to do that the first Saturday of every month here in Battle Creek and over in Albion.
That's true. And Tim, I try to mix it up in mid-month, and I have this mid-month coffee hour over at Darb's Country Place in Clarence Township. It's right near Duck Lake. And Clarence Township is part of the 62nd District, and that's this next Saturday, the 20th, between 11 a.m. Excuse me, not 11 a.m. That would be when Darb's other crowd is there. Oh, it is. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay.
I was thinking 1 a.m. When I added that additional one. So we're not closing down the place. We're there during the lunch hour, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, the 20th of July. And then back on the first Saturday of August, we'll be at
Mr. Don's on 20th.
Mr.
Yeah.
Don's on 20th, and then Sterling over in Albion.
Yep. All right. Great. Well, we appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk to you again next month, and maybe we'll have a little bit more progress on fixing the roads.
I certainly hope so, and I could tell you about the anticipatory stress of not knowing whether you're going to be in session any given week because you don't know whether there's going to be a budget a deal or not.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that is, when you're trying to juggle a lot of different things, and you could get called in on a moment's notice. But let's hope that they do get their nose to the grindstone and get a few deals worked out.
I'm confident they will, and thanks, Tim, and thanks, WBCK, for allowing me to come in.